All right. What's up, everybody? We back in the building. So I saw a lot of comments from the live that I put up last night, and a lot of people said, "Man, I missed it. I was asleep. It's too late. I think I did it like 9 o'clock um, West Coast time, which if you're on the East Coast, 9, 10, 11, 12, that's like midnight on the East Coast or 11 p.m. Central. So I forgot. A lot of people probably knocked out around that time. I usually do my lives like, 3 or 4 in the afternoon around this time that I'm putting this live up now. So I figured I'd reshoot it. I don't know if I'll get a lot of people on this one. One of the real uh, reasons I'm reshooting it also is that, I got a comment that the text was too small. So I didn't go back and watch it after I shot it. I just put it up. But when I went back and watched it, uh, it did look like the text was too small. So I'm gonna do that example again and this time blow it up so that you guys can see what's going on. Ace, man, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. I see you. I see you. Um, so I'm gonna reshoot this and this time blow up the text or make it bigger so that you can actually see what I was doing last night when I shot that last live, man. How you doing, Ace, man? You enjoying the weekend? Time off, a little break before Christmas in the morning. You know, I don't know if where you at, if you got little ones in the house or something that's excited about it, um, and all that good stuff. But I hope you're enjoying your time, and if you are fortunate enough to be around family or friends that you enjoy spending time with, I hope you enjoy it. Good. That would help me. I didn't want to complain about tick size. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I mean, that justifies me kind of reshooting that. So, let's see what I have in my. Okay, yeah, I still do got it. All right. So let's see if we can redo this. Um, Come on, clear that screen. And then this time, let's see, let's see how nice it's gonna play. Will it just let me do that? Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. You should be able to see that real good. Real good. Oh, you said you are excited, no kids. Okay. Hey, that ain't got to be a sad face for no kids, man. I mean, shoot, I got plenty of kids, and sometimes I wish I had some no kid time. So there's nothing wrong with not having kids. Enjoy your time, man. Enjoy your time. You got plenty of time to have kids and have a family and enjoy all that stuff. But there's something to be said for not having kids as well, and really being able to work on yourself and get everything together with yourself and in your own life and before you start having kids. Because once you have kids, then everything kind of shifts and it becomes about somebody else for the rest of your, well, at least for the next 18 years until they're grown and gone. So yeah, man, so definitely enjoy your time with no kids. So we doing good, man. The kids are home. uh, they go to private. So they've been out for the last week while the public schools were still going to school. Public schools just got out. They just got out on Friday, I believe. But my kids were home for the whole week, which was kind of cool because they ran around with the old lady, um, going to all these different places, and it wasn't super packed with kids because public schools were still in session. So they go during the day. They went to, um, Chuck E. Cheese for my daughter's birthday and all this stuff, and it wasn't crazy busy because most of the kids were still in school. So they enjoying it. They in there right now. My daughter's at the counter eating a homemade cinnamon roll. The old lady's on the couch sleep, snoring. And my son's running around somewhere with his iPad watching some videos and stuff. So I figured while the old lady was sleeping, I'd sneak in here and shoot a quick live. My my mother-in-law and sister-in-law is going to be coming over. They're supposed to come over sometime between 4 and 5, and it's about to be 4 o'clock here. So I may not. have a ton of time to stick on this live, but I did want to do it and redo it rather, um, so that people that either didn't catch it live last night and may have had questions they wanted to ask, or if the text was too small and you couldn't really read it, I wanted to redo it. So, uh, wife won't, yeah, wife won't. So I gotta get this code in right. Yeah, man. Hey, yeah, get that stuff nailed down first, because it makes things so much easier, man. When you're doing something you enjoy doing and you bringing in good money, man, it makes having kids and the stresses and stuff that comes around family stuff. Um, everything ain't Gucci, but it sure does remove a lot of that stress and anxiety. Um, when your money ain't, when your pockets are right, you know what I'm saying? Uh, I need to make that take your kid to private school money. You're a fool. You're a fool, man. You close with your whole family. Yeah, I actually am, but I live out here in Vegas, and I was born in Mississippi, born and raised in Mississippi. So my mom and sisters and all of them, they're between Mississippi and Tennessee. So I don't get to spend time with them on the holidays unless I catch a flight back, And then if I catch a flight, then that means I got to take those little ones in there. So it gets to be an expensive affair. If I want to take a trip home, that's going to be at least 2 G's in plane tickets alone. Plane tickets, rental cars when we land and get there, um, all of that stuff. If we're going to get a hotel, um, then that's extra money. So it ends up just being a cost thing. You know what I'm saying? Do I want to drop a couple G's on a trip home or not? So a lot of times, we just stay here in Vegas. And my family, they old school country, so they don't fly, they don't get on planes or nothing like that. So I kind of got to rock with it. All right, let's get to work, man. Let's see. All right, let's see. Oh, there's a couple other people in the building. If you're in the building, drop a what's up. Welcome to all the uh, new subscribers. I found out I got a lot of subscribers from Coding Phase. Put me on his honorable mention on his YouTube coders that you should be subscribed to or watching. So that's where kind of a larger influx of subscribers came from in the last week or so. So shout out to your boy Joe back at it again. Much love for featuring me in his video or my channel. So that's what's up. Hey, what's going on, Eric? I see you. I'll be on to my old lady come back. Then I gotta go. Yeah, I know I ain't gonna be on long either, Ace. I'm just gonna drop this little knowledge. Hey, what's going on, Luke? Shout out to you, man. I see you, new subscriber. I appreciate it. Did you come from Joe from Coding Phase? Uh, is that how you found me? I'm always interested to see how people find the channel. All right. Let me pull this PDF back up. All right. So to get back to things from last night. So all right, let's do. Okay, cool. All right. So here's the PDF. So this was the challenge that I was working on um, yesterday. I had to create these pills, right? I'm gonna call them pills. You can call them whatever. But these pills came in as, or the data for these came in as a single string. That was all just one string. So I had to bust that string up and keep the delimiters um, and be able to iterate over them and plop them into the page and have them styled depending on if it's a plus, then it would look like this. If it's a minus or a dash in front of a section, that section would turn out like this. White background or transparent background, red text, red border, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so the string came in looking like this. So you would just get this one string coming in, plus address, minus DOB, date of birth, and minus driver's license number. So I had to figure out how I'm going to get that to work. Uh-oh, the machine shut down. Okay. There we go. Boom. bad. Give me just a second, y'all. Just a second. Uh-oh. Boom. Boom. Let me switch back to my comments here. Oh, you saw me on Kalina live show. Okay. That's what's up, Luke. Give me just a second, man. I need to fix my other machine over here, and we're gonna get to it. All right. Uh-oh. Oh man, I was just working on this too and I didn't finish. My license for my IntelliJ expired because because of that whole deal where the guy stole my identity and I had to get a new card. So they tried to charge my card and my card was no longer active. So let me go to Brains. Well, this I should have checked this beforehand. So my apologies. I'm over here working on my other machine though, but I'm still monitoring the chat. All right, let's go log in. Boom, boom. All right, please check Brains. Renew subscription. There we go. Um. Oh yeah, it's got the old credit card on there. We do that, and let's remove that credit card. I'm gonna put the new card in there. Give me just a second. I gotta grab my wallet with my new credit card. All right, we back. So what everybody got going on today? I know what Ace is doing, but Miss Erica, what you got going on today? And Mr. Luke, just chilling, hanging out with fam. I take it. Cleaning up and wrapping these gifts when these kiddos go to bed. Yeah, I know I got to do that too. I snuck and got something for the old lady too. I don't know. She might be mad at me because we had said we wasn't getting each other no gifts, but I snuck and got a little something, something she need. She'll probably be mad at me, but I don't care. She gonna like it anyway. All right, cool. So now this should work. All right, cool. That worked. And that's coming back up. Yeah, just chilling at the house. Got to do some Christmas stuff in a minute. Okay, I got you. Well, we're going to try to make this nice and quick. IntelliJ's boot up. IntelliJ, by the way, is the coding um, IDE that I use or the editor that I use. It's where It's the program I use to write all my code. So, boom. All right, cool beans. All right, there we go. Boom. All right, back to it. Appreciate y'all patience. I don't use I don't use Java. Luke, you probably asked me that because I said IntelliJ, and I know IntelliJ is primarily a let me switch to my FaceTime. IntelliJ is primarily a Java development environment, but here's the weird thing with IntelliJ, and here's what he's talking about. So let me come and open up one of these. Go to JetBrains, right? So here's what Luke is talking about. So JetBrains, they make a different they make a bunch of different IDEs, which is Integrated Development Environment, is what IDE stands for different programming languages. So they make some for specific to JavaScript called WebStorm. If you write .NET, they have one for that. Uh, IntelliJ is the one for Java. They have a Ruby one, et cetera, et cetera. So let me see all the tools. Here you go. So IntelliJ is the one that I use. PHP Storm, if you write PHP, WebStorm is for JavaScript, for building stuff on the web. Here's for PyCharm for Python. ReSharper is an extension for .NET. Here's C Lion if you want to write C or C++. RubyMine if you want to write Ruby. Oh, I didn't know they had one for Go, but they do all the popular stuff. .NET stuff, TeamCity Hub, PyCharm, EDU. There's one for Kotlin too. Kotlin is the newly approved language for writing Android. So if you don't want to write Java, you can write Kotlin, which is like supposed to be way better than Java, more or less verbose than Java. But what you'll find is that all the rest of these are based off of IntelliJ. So the core program for the IDE is IntelliJ, and then most of these are a slimmed down version of IntelliJ. So the way it works is if you want to write JavaScript, most people go to WebStorm because WebStorm is where it's built for the web. It takes all of but the way it works is everything that you can do in WebStorm, you can do in IntelliJ. Basically, they take IntelliJ and throw out all of the stuff related to Java and all the extra stuff that might confuse a web developer that is not familiar with Java environments, and then they give you WebStorm. So WebStorm is a slimmed down version of IntelliJ. But I just use the full blown IntelliJ because if I wanted to go between um, Java and JavaScript, I can do all of that within IntelliJ. Whereas if I try to put Java into WebStorm, it's not going to know what to do with it because it's not built for Java. Or if, like for right now, the one of the projects I'm working on, the back end is written in Java. So we have Java code and JavaScript in the same project. So that's one of the reasons why I use IntelliJ. If I wanted to have Ruby code for my Ruby backend, um, in the same project with my JavaScript, IntelliJ can handle that because it basically you download a Ruby plugin and it basically turns IntelliJ into where is it at RubyMine. Um, so that's why I use IntelliJ. I used to use WebStorm when I was strictly writing JavaScript, but now when I work on projects that have different types of backends, um, I just use IntelliJ and I can download the plugin that'll make IntelliJ work with whatever type of language, whether it be .NET, if it be Go or Ruby or Java or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. So that's why I use that. But I do digress. Let me go back. So this deal here, we needed to figure out how to split this string up, right? So of course, JavaScript has .split, Oh, look at this. This is still in there from yesterday. Um, wow, that would just straight give us the answer from yesterday. So I wanted to split this thing. Ignore the like I said yesterday. Ignore the um, regular expression that I'm about to put in. Basically, the reason I pulled up my IDE over here is just to get this regular expression because I don't remember these things by heart, but I need them. Entity, where'd it go? It disappeared on me. There it goes. Okay, cool. So this regular expression, I'm saying, basically this is saying split this wherever you find this dash at, um, and then do a little look ahead deal, which is not necessarily necessary, but I want to do it exactly how I um, wrote it in my program. So boom, boom, and it's splitting on uh, wherever you find a dash that is preceded by a word character, basically a character, um, then go ahead and split it. And we need to make sure this is for regular expression. Okay, so if we do that, split returns you an array. So if we hit enter there, this is what split will give you, which gets me a lot of the way to where I need it to be to get to he where's the, to get to here, right? But what you'll notice, I'll go back to screen two, is that we're missing the dash. So split will split on that dash here, but it gets rid of that dash. So I needed that dash because the dash also gets displayed here, right? So this, we're not displaying this, we're actually putting the actual dash there, right? So it'll either be the plus or it'll be the dash. So I didn't want to, I can't work with this to, because I need the dash, because I want to just spit whatever's in each one of these um, indexes out, right? So this is an array. If you're new to JavaScript, an array is just a container. It's like a box that can hold anything, right? So this is an array of strings. So arrays are zero based index. So the first spot is not one, it's zero. So this would be index 0, 1, 2. So I want to be able to just take whatever's in each index and directly spit it out onto the screen. So uh, if we come back to here, after we get that, um, this is kind of a functional style where if we know split gives you back an array, uh, then we can operate on that array. So split returns an array. We can call another array function on it and call map. All map does is it takes each item in the array and does some type of operation to it and spits the results of that operation back out into a new array. So we map, and you can call the variable. I call it item. You can make this anything. It can be X, whatever. It just represents each item in the array. So each time it goes through the array, take every item that's in the array, right? And check to see if the item, uh, which is a string, so we call the string method starts with on that string, and we say if that string starts with a plus, if it starts with a plus, then this is a ternary, by the way. It's basically a one line if else statement, right? So this says if this returns true, which starts with is a bool returns a boolean, it's either going to give you true or false. So if it starts with a plus character, this will turn into true. If it doesn't start with a plus character, anything else, this will become false. So if this is true, question mark, this will tell you what to do if it's true. If it's true, just give me back that item because it's already in the format that I need plus address. So this is good to go. If it comes in like this, spit it back out to me. Otherwise, which we do with a colon, represents else. I want to do a template string and attach a dash to that item, right? Cool. Um, I didn't even go over. There's so many things here that I'm assuming that you know and are familiar with in the statement. Number one, this is a um, arrow function. So this is ES6 syntax, which I'll show you what this equates to in just a minute. Uh, I think Eclipse has the same setup with plugins for JavaScript/web development. Yeah, that's good. If you got any questions about what I'm doing, uh, just ask them live and I can answer them. It'll be a lot better than trying to ask them in the comments or something after. So if we do this thing, we'll end up with what we were looking for. You get address. It, it ran through each item. It ran through the first item. It said this starts with a plus, so just spit me back out that item in a new array. It went to the next index, looked at it, and said, does it start with a plus? It doesn't. So it comes to this side of it and says, take that item, attach a dash in front of it, and then spit that out. And it did the same with the next one. Boom. And I end up with an array with this string split up exactly how I want it to be split up. So what's going on, Elvin? Good to see you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate. Uh, boom. So we end up with what we needed. You know, I went an extra step further because I wanted to turn it into um, an array of objects, actually, that also had the text and also had a plus minus indicator, with the string. So I mapped over this newly returned array and said, all right, this time for each item in there, um, let's return an object that has a key of text, which will just be the item itself, and then it'll have a plus minus indicator, and we can do item if the item starts with that plus, and this can be simplified in so many ways, but if the item starts with the plus, then just return the string plus. Otherwise, we know it'll be a minus. So now this is all one line of JavaScript, just chained together, kind of jQuery style, chain together functions, each operating off the output of the previous function. So split will go in and split, and it returns an array. We take that array, it returns this array. So we take that array, we map over it, go through each item. If it starts with a plus, give me back that item. If it doesn't start with a plus, attach a dash to it, and that gives me back this array. We take that array and we call .map on it, and we say if or give me back an object for each item in the array. Create an object that has a key of text with that string in it, and then a key of plus minus that looks at if the item starts with a plus, it'll return the string plus as plus minus. Otherwise, it'll return the string minus. So we end up with this, an array with 3 objects in it. If we open that up, we can see here's your 3 objects. Remember, it's 0 index, so you got position 0, 1, and 2 instead of 1, 1, 2, and 3. And you have an object with text address, plus minus, this is plus. Text minus DOB, plus minus is minus. And then text with driver's license number plus minus is minus. And the way I ended up using that with Angular is I took the text, I dropped this into a peel component, and I used the the text to display the text in the component, and then I use the plus minus indicator to assign a class, a CSS class to it that would handle the styling for it, so that when it came through and it was a plus, I had CSS create this style for it, where it just spit it out in a div. It made sure that the text was white with a gray background, and if it was a minus, I put it on a transparent background and made the text red and made the border for the containing div solid red as well to match the text. And then that's how we ended up solving this little UI issue from what the API gave us back. So the API guy, he asked me, he said, do you want me to go through and split this up, or can I just spit you out the string and you worry about, breaking it apart on your end? Um, when if I was a newer developer, I would, and I was the only one that would be handling this, maybe I would ask the API guy to bust it up and give it back to me. But if it helped speed up his process and it wasn't a big pain for me to bust it up, he basically would have had to do the same thing in Java, because this backend is written in Java. So he would have had to do some string manipulation on the Java side, and then he would have gave me back. Uh, he would have gave me back this array, and it would have already been ready. But I did it. You can do the same thing on the front end with JavaScript, and that's what I ended up doing, man. Luke said, "Dang, my way would have been way more complicated." What would you have done, Luke? So that's I mean, this looks kind of crazy. Let me see if I can break this, make this a little smaller to where it don't look too crazy. Because if I was doing this in an IDE, this would be, I break this down so that it won't let you do it here. I should bring up IntelliJ or something where you can do it. But I split these. Like I take this and I put each one of these on its own line. So I'll wrap this underneath, and then this mapping function will get wrapped underneath, and this mapping function would get wrapped underneath, et cetera, et cetera. So just 3 mapping functions. So the cool thing is this style is um, kind of a quintessential functional programming style, where each method or each function will um, return a type that you can operate off of. So if split returns an array, I can call split on a string, and I know at this point I have an array. So I can just treat everything that's in here like it's an array, and I can immediately call an array function on it. So I know for array you have the mapping function, which just iterates over every item in the array, and it will do um, whatever operation you tell it to do on each item. So for each item in the array, check and see if it starts with plus. If it does, return that item. If it doesn't, return the item plus the dash on it. Um, this syntax, the if you're not familiar with ES6 syntax, which you should be because it's so much better than the old, writing item, fat arrow, item, uh, starts with uh, whatever. You can put whatever in there. If you want to do that item, otherwise, template string, dash, boom, item, or not time, item, boom. So this is the same as writing, what is this? A function that takes an item and returns uh, return if item dot starts with plus, then return item, else return, and then you have your template string. Or, all right, how do you, without the template string, um, you would do string minus plus item. Boom. So this is the old way of having to write that. And as you can see, that this is much longer. Yeah, of course you can't do that. This is much longer than writing this like this. So this is a regular function instead of the arrow function, and um, instead of this ternary, which does the if else in one short line. This is your if statement. If item starts with 9, if this returns true, do this. Else is this colon, do this. And even that array function is a short function for, because with this, if you have brackets around it, you have to do return. Okay. So this is the shortly longer way of writing an arrow function. You say for each item, return the results of this. If you can shorten this by getting rid of the brackets, right? If you get rid of the brackets, then you get what's called an implied return. Um, so this is the same as writing what I wrote before with the brackets and return. If you're only doing one line, one return line, directly returning, you can just write it like this without having to put the brackets, putting the brackets on it with the explicit return um, statement in there. So new ES6 stuff. But if you're just learning JavaScript, this is probably what you're going to learn. This bottom statement right here. You won't have to worry about the old school ES5 and 3 ways of doing old school functions. Um, One of the big keys to this is the binding of the this statement uh, gets a lot less ambiguous when you do fat arrow functions. So um, scoping and all that stuff, you won't have to worry about a lot of that stuff that old school JavaScripters had to worry about. So cool stuff, man. Cool stuff. You said cool, just one line of code. I probably would have used loops or something. Yeah, most people would have. Um, I would have back in the day too, trying to figure out how to iterate and loop over that and do all kinds of stuff. But if when you learn these array operator functions, it takes a lot of, man, I can't remember the last time I had to write a for loop, man. Um, even doing for each on anything. Usually you can get stuff done on an array with like a mapping function, some filtering or mapping or you know whatever whatever needs to happen. One of the other things I showed yesterday, let me see if I can go way back to um, all right, this I did yeah, I think this was my first animation. Nope. So if I say split on just a string plus, right, you end up getting back this with this empty space in there. And I'm like, man, this throws off your whole thing because you don't want this returned in your deal, right? So let's say we were doing something that returned an empty string. You want to make sure you didn't have any empty string. So you can take that result and you can directly filter. And filter is called on every item in the array as well. Um, but it will only plop something into the new array uh, if it passes the filter. Basically, if you get a true statement on the filter. So you say for each item in this array that we're working on, I want to only return that item if it is a truthy, um, if it is a truthy value, right? So this bang bang, um, bang bang, or double exclamation point. You'll hear exclamation points referred to as bangs when it comes to programming. A lot of times that comes from old Unix days, Bash days, um, if my memory serves me right. But bang bang. Oh shoot! I just erased the whole thing. Filter every item. Boom boom. And we only want truthy items, right? What that'll do is, because empty string in JavaScript is a falsy value, this equals false, it will not pass the filter, and the filter won't put that in the new array. And if you run that, you'll get an array that doesn't include um, that index, because this is false. Uh, and this is, a string with some stuff in it that's a truthy value. So that will return true, and the filter will let it into the new array. So there's all kind of little things operators you can do on those arrays, man. They'll save you a lot of time, um, without having to work through for loops and stuff. When I had that first job at Allegiant, I was doing that. I was for looping over everything, man, because that's the way my brain worked. It's like, okay, I need to iterate over this array, and I was not familiar enough with the array functions, um, or operators that you can do on an array, like map, filter, any of those, quintessential um, array operators. So everything I did was like a for loop, which, looking back on it now, man, that shows that I was so junior back then that I didn't know what I didn't know, you know. So so that's the deal there. I wanted to put that up there, and so the text will be bigger and people can see, and all of that. If you're watching this on the replay, uh, apologies for the breaks in there to get my editor back up and everything, but I wanted to put that out there. I know it's Christmas Eve, so um, if you got any questions on the replay, pop them in the comments, man. And if it's a good question or a problem that you want to see me solve, that's something relatively simple that can be done in the console, then I'll be more than happy uh, to shoot another video, do another live or something like that, and we can work through it together. So that's it, man. If y'all don't have any other questions or anything like that, um, y'all enjoy your time with your family and the holidays. I'm gonna sign off and go. Where do you learn JavaScript online? Yeah, I learned JavaScript online, Luke. Um, Mostly, if you go back and watch my old videos, you'll see it was mostly from a site called TeamTreehouse.com, and also from really the bulk of it was from CodeSchool.com. Because when I got hired for a JavaScript position, my first position, I did not know JavaScript um, at all, pretty much. But I got hired for it. My boss gave me 3 weeks with a laptop, uh, and I went in to work every day. Got the MacBook Pro, set up my desk for 3 weeks, and I went through all of the JavaScript courses on CodeSchool.com. Um, and then as soon as I was done with those, I directly jumped into the code base and started contributing code, um, which is which is super sketchy and scary, thinking back to it now. But everything I learned from online resources, a little bit from some books, but the vast majority of things I learned from videos. I'm a visual learner, visual and auditory. So I learn real good from watching videos of people doing things, or from listening to somebody explain how something works. Um, and then, I can kind of get it from there. So, and then the rest of it was just trial and error over time. Luckily I was lucky enough to get hired and get paid to break stuff and make mistakes. So my first boss told me that. He said, just get in there and start breaking stuff. So he gave me permission to break stuff and not be afraid of breaking stuff. And that's one of the quickest ways to learn. And if you break something, you bring the site down, or you learn real quick not to do that again. So Most of my learning was from online resources. So, I mean, you can even start with YouTube, man. If you got specific one-off questions and stuff, um, usually you can find somebody teaching about it on YouTube. I never thought of myself as like a teacher or anything like that because I don't. I'm very self-conscious that I'm not an eloquent speaker. Like there are some people that teach coding that they know all the proper terms for each each thing, and I don't always know the computer sciencey word for certain paradigms and certain coding techniques. I couldn't tell you what the name of a certain technique was out of a book, but I can explain how to use it and what situations that I use this particular paradigm or technique in. Like this functional programming stuff. If you wanted me to give a dissertation on functional programming, I am not that guy, but I do understand some of the tenets of functional programming, and being able to chain methods and things of that sort. So that when I see functional code, I can look at it and be like, okay, this is written in a functional style. Like when I first saw D3, which is a data visualization um, software, uh, it that makes all kind of crazy cool charts and stuff. So if we look up D3, I'll just do D3JS. Here we go. D3 stands for data driven documents. Uh, where's the examples? Here we go. When you see this code though, oh man, it's crazy. I mean, but these examples are like, they're way cool. So you can come in here and do all these, fancy bubble charts and things where it shows, depending on how much a certain thing shows up is how big the circle is. The smaller the circle, the less important it is, and stuff like that. But when you look at this D3 code, it's all functional. And I know it's functional because everything is being chained. So you call node dot append circle, and then you take the result of what this line of code gives you, and then you call this function or this method on that. You say with the results of that, uh, take the attribute ID and return this, and then take the results of that, and you're going to add an attribute R and do that to it, and then you take the result of that and call style on it, and you set the field to this color from d.package. And I don't have to understand what all this does, but at least I know, um, I have an idea in my mind of how this works. Okay, this is going through and calling one function after another one, after another one, after another one. And at the end, you end up with the culmination of all those little function calls. So that's kind of functional style. You have small functions that do one specific thing and spits out a return value. And if you want to change that, you take that return value, you call another small function that does one thing, and you change it and tweak it, and you keep chaining these functions together until you end up with an end result that equals what you want, instead of having one big function that does all kinds of stuff, and it's hard to debug that function or debug that code because that one function does so much stuff at one shot. So functional programming is more about composition, which means composing a bunch of small functions over having one large function that does a lot of stuff. So, does that make sense? Or am I just talking gibberish to people? But anyway, I say all of that to say that, I never saw myself, or I still don't see myself as being a teacher of programming. But I did want to dip my toe into the pool when I run into an interesting um, problem that's something that is especially beginnerish level. I'm like, oh, this will be something that old Brian would have wished somebody would have showed me, show old Brian. So I'm kind of almost teaching it to my old self, and hopefully somebody else can gain some knowledge out of that as well. Um, Made sense. Okay, that made sense. Cool. What is Redux? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, appreciate it, Elvin. Appreciate it, Luke. Um, what is Redux? Redux is a state management tool. Um, oh man, That's one of those. You're challenging my explanation. Redux is one of those things that I know. I use it every day. I love Redux, but if you ask me to explain it um, to on a beginner level without using big words, it's tough to do. Okay, so imagine the simplest version is you have a button, and when you click that button, um, the button changes color, from red to blue or something like that. Um, to do that, to manage that state before, it's crazy. All right, let me try this another way. So Redux is a paradigm that works off of, it's like a messaging system. So when you do an action, you spit out, see, I'm using those words already. Action may not even make sense if you're not in the Redux paradigm. When you perform when you do something on the screen, right? When the user does something on the screen in your application, you fire off what Redux calls an action. So you create these actions yourself. So you can attach a function to a button that says, when I click on this button, fire an action that says button clicked, right? And in your application, there can be many different things that are listening for an action called button clicked. And depending on what's listening to that action button clicked, uh, each thing that's listening to it can be performing a different thing, or can be firing a different function to take care of stuff, right? Um, Almost one of the easiest things is a counter. You click on a button and you increment a number or you decrement a number, depending on if you clicked on the plus button or the minus button, right? Um, there's like a thousand thoughts going through my head right now. Man, I wish I could switch over and show you. I have a perfect example of the need for Redux and state management in the second project that I worked for, or the second company that I worked for, right? This project was written by a developer who primarily writes Java, right? And was not familiar with Redux or state management. And in the program, the way it was written, all of the state, yeah, kind of like a calculator. Um, I see it in your title. That's good. Yeah, Redux. Oh, it was supposed to be like redo, you know. Um, I should have included some type of Redux in this deal. Uh, I'm going to do a video on Redux. How about that? How about that, Luke? We're going to do a video specifically on Redux, just a generic, you know, counter video, and it's going to be like the super basic. I like to call them ghetto guides. So the ghetto guide to Redux, and it's my interpretation of me explaining to one of my old homeboys from you know back from back in the country, back in the hood, back in the old hood, um, how something works. You know, so I'll do a ghetto guide um, to Redux, and you'll be able to see what Redux is, what a state store is, what a reducer function is, what an action is, all of that stuff. And then once you get those basics down, the basics don't change with Redux. It's basically a central place to hold all the state of your application, and it makes your application easier. Here's one of those big programming words that I didn't know what meant for a long time. It makes your application easier, application state easier to reason about. I hate it when people used to say that because I don't know what reason about mean, man. I need the ghetto guide. But all reason about means is easier to figure out where things are where things are happening. Um, because if you don't have good state management, you can have you can click a button on one page and it changed something over on another page. that you weren't expecting. And then you're trying to figure out, why did this thing over on this page change when I click this button? And you have to follow that, and it's going through all these different files and all kinds of stuff to get to here where it changed that thing. When you have Redux, there's one central location called a reducer, or re- reducer, that changes everything. So if you want to know why this thing over here changed, you go to one file, the reducer file, and you can backtrack and see everything that happened to cause this thing to change. So it makes debugging your stuff a lot easier. Um, but you'll be able to see that when I shoot that video. And I'm gonna take time over this Christmas holiday to shoot some videos for you guys to be able to see. So I appreciate you asking that question, Luke, because just gave me a video that idea, something that I didn't think was necessary, because there's a lot of people out there that's doing Redux. But hey, I'll do it and give my spin on it, and maybe my style without having big computer sciencey words in it. I call it, click the thing and the thing and the thing. I may not have all the right terminology for it, but I can definitely show you how it works, and make sure it's broken down to a real basic level, like you said, uh, and give you that ghetto guide. So that being said, this went way longer than what I expected. I appreciate y'all stopping by, man. Um, Again, welcome everybody that's new to the channel, be it from Coding Phase or from Kalina's video, or wherever it may be. I appreciate y'all, stepping into my world for a bit. I'm gonna get back to the fam bam in here. Uh, please subscribe and click the bell so you get notified, both when I go live and also when I drop a new video. And please do, like Erica and Elvin and Luke and everybody that's in the building today has been doing it. And please ask questions, and let me know what what you want to see. If you have um, what would provide value to you as far as programming and coding, or if you're not aware, or new to the channel, I also talk a lot about uh, money as well, and business and investing, because and hustling, or just being a hustler, period. So that's what this channel is all about. Not strictly about coding, but it's about um, how you make your money and what you do with the money you make as well. So that being said, I'll holler at y'all, all y'all later. Y'all take it easy. Peace.